Today we are talking about mindfulness. More specifically, how regular mindful practices can help you live a more fulfilled, calm, centered, aligned life. So, in a world where we have become so reliant on constant stimulation, in a world where we are often so connected digitally, but really disconnected from ourselves, I want to share how mindful practices have brought so much joy and peace into my life and allowed me to be really intentional and ultimately live with purpose and with balance. And that is something that I want for you as well. So if you've been feeling maybe stuck in your life, you're not sure how to move forward, and you want more balance, you want to feel like your life has purpose, then this episode is absolutely for you. So hello everyone, welcome back to Mindset Matters. My name is Vic, your host, and this is actually the second time I'm recording this episode. I didn't like how it turned out yesterday. I felt like the message was a bit off, so we're trying it again. And I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would love for you to stick around. I put out new episodes every Monday. And let's just hop right in to today. So I do want to invite you to be really present with me today. This is all about presence and being mindful, and I'm going to talk about how to build mindful routines that work for you in your life. But I just invite you to be here with me today. I know how easy it is to be watching a video and doing something else, or to get distracted by a text we receive, or to not really be soaking in the information that you decided to click on, right? You clicked on this video for a reason. You're here for a reason, so be here with me. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb, get yourself a cozy beverage, and pop in some headphones if you like, and just be here with me, because I really think that the tips I'm going to share with you can really help you in your life. I want to do a little history about me and how mindfulness has changed my life. So looking at me maybe 4-ish years ago, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would say like 3 to 4 years ago, I was a very fast-paced, moving person. And don't get me wrong, I still like to fill my time. I like being busy. I enjoy doing a lot of things. But in the past, what this looked like was almost like racing to always get to the next thing. I realized looking back that I was never really present in the moment. I was always trying to get something done so that I could move on to the next thing, or I always just was rushing to get to the next phase of my life, whether that was not enjoying being single because I wanted to be in a relationship, or instead of just being present and enjoying whatever stage of life I was in or whatever activity I was doing, I was always like, my mind was always somewhere else, right? It's like this disconnectedness between where you are, your physical body, and what you're doing, and where your mind is, right? If you're always thinking about tomorrow, you're always thinking about what I have to make for dinner, or the to-do list in your head is always running. And I feel like that was me for a long time. And I almost didn't even realize that this was not normal. And I think it's become so normalized in our society to just be go, go, go all the time. We have this like hustle kind of culture in the Western world of that you need to always fill your time and you should be doing more and you need to work harder to make more money. We're not machines. We're not machines to just be go, go, go all the time. This is what leads to burnout. This is what leads to poor sleep because you're constantly thinking about things. So we'll get into more about that a little bit. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that life is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not about rushing from A to B. It's about enjoying the journey that you're on from A to B. And it's so amazing to have goals and things we're working towards, but it's almost about having this North Star that you're aiming for and that helps you steer in the right direction, but you're not so obsessed with just getting to the North Star. You're able to enjoy the journey, and life is meant to be experienced fully. right? If you're just rushing from A to B, you're literally missing the things that are happening around you. And I personally believe that building lasting mindful routines can help you with this. So let's get into what I mean by mindful routines. So I'm going to share a few definitions. So I'm going to be looking over here to read. But let's talk about what a routine is versus habits. Okay, so a routine can be defined as a sequence of actions regularly followed or a fixed program. A habit, a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So here I would say the main difference is that a habit is a behavior that's almost done with little to no thought. Think about you get into the car, you buckle up your seatbelt. That is a habit. You don't really have to think about that because it's so ingrained in you that when you get in the car, you buckle up. While a routine, the difference here, it involves a series of behaviors that are frequently and intentionally repeated. So I love the word intentional. You know, that's my favorite word. That's what we're here to live intentionally. So a routine is intentionally repeated. And I do believe that our routines can become habits because when you do it so much, it kind of just is ingrained and it feels very natural. But at the beginning, it's like a chosen thing that you are showing up and doing. So now let's talk about mindfulness. What does mindfulness actually mean? So mindfulness, a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. It can be used as a therapeutic technique. So I love this definition because it talks about you're aware of the present moment, you're really sinking into where you are now, but you're also acknowledging how your body feels, you're acknowledging your feelings, where do you have tension, where can you relax. One more definition to share. Mindfulness is a moment-to-moment awareness of one's experience without judgment. In this sense, mindfulness is a state and not a trait. I like this definition, talking about mindfulness as a state. It is a state you enter to be mindful. You don't have to just be mindful or not mindful. Okay, you can be mindful at any time when you start to recognize how you're feeling, when you start to recognize the present moment and not judge the things around you, but just exist. I think getting out in nature is one of the easiest ways to do this because when we're in nature, we're literally connected to the earth and we are surrounded by just the natural beauty, but it is the state. So you can practice mindfulness anytime, anywhere, and it can be big or small, which we'll get into a little bit later. But essentially, I guess my argument here is by creating mindful routines, which I mean regular intentional behaviors that are designed to support your well-being, overall, you are going to live a more aligned, intentional, peaceful, mindful life where you can let go of the noise, you can let go of all the responsibilities you have, and you can just exist and allow yourself to be and to be present and to fully enjoy where you are. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of mindful routines and what that might look like. So one being self-reflection, thinking about how you feel about things, giving yourself space to process different things that have happened. You know, we'll talk about technology in a little bit, but essentially it's like when you're constantly connected, you never give yourself space to just think. And it's in that space where creative thought actually comes about. Journaling is another practice that I personally do regularly and has really helped me have a space to process my emotions, to process things going on in my life, to honestly just keep a log of how I'm feeling. And if you don't know, if you're new here, I actually have created a couple journals that I want to share with you really quick. So the first one is the Mindset Matters Gratitude Journal. Expressing gratitude is another mindful practice, and expressing gratitude every day can actually rewire your brain to start seeing the good in life, to start to be more positive, and that has so many benefits for you. So expressing gratitude every day is something that I would highly recommend. The way to do this in this journal is it prompts you in the morning to think of something you're grateful for, and also to express 3 good things about the day. And what I love about this is that it helps you to start notice all the little things that you have to be grateful for. Maybe you see a pretty bird fly by, that can count. It can be big or small, and sometimes I think we associate gratitude with like big things, and sometimes there aren't big things to be grateful for. Sometimes it's only little things, but if you can focus on that, then that becomes the things you think about. So that's a journal that I would highly recommend. I'll put the links below for my journals if you're interested. Thank you so much for checking them out. And the next one is a daily journal. It says resilience, presence, gratitude. And this is like a little daily journal. It's pretty thick, has lots of pages. And it gives you motivational quotes on the top of each page to help you have a great day. So definitely check those out. But yeah, journaling is so awesome. And I think something that's so underrated about journaling is the fact that, you know, in 10 years, I could look back on this time of my life and know exactly how I thought and felt, which is so cool because humans, we actually have terrible memories. Like, our memories are not very good. We like to make things up. We like to miss details. But if you have a written log of your life, you can go back and look at it. Like, that is so cool to me. So that's another reason why I love journaling. Another example of a mindful practice is yoga or stretching. It's so good to move your body. I mean, any type of exercise that you are just really focused on. I think exercise is such a good way to be mindful because when you're focusing on the actual exercise, everything else in your life kind of does melt away. So, I mean, in that sense, like focusing on any task and being really in the moment, it could be something as simple as doing the dishes. Like, if you can really be present as you do the dishes and focus on, you know, how the water feels swishing around and how the sponge feels in your hand and like watching the water rinse off the plate, like even that can be a mindful activity. And I think this is what's so great about mindfulness is you can bring it into your life at any time. It's just knowing how and being aware of it that is the most important part. Another one would be meditation, allowing yourself to really just be still and be present and not thinking about anything in particular. And then regular walks, getting outside, getting in nature. So all of these things support your well-being, and they're all helping you kind of reconnect to yourself, which is so important. So let's move on to why mindful routines matter. And the first thing that I want to say is that in a world that has become so fast-paced, we're so used to, again, rushing from A to B. We're so used to being so go, go, go and filling our days and feeling like you have to be productive all the time. Mindfulness really allows you to slow down. And slowing down helps you enjoy life. It helps you be more present. It helps you not miss out on what's happening for you right now. You know, rather than worrying about tomorrow, rather than stressing about what happened yesterday, you're able to focus on the task at hand. You're able to be in the moment and simply be. And when we're present is also when we're the most creative and we're able to be more solution oriented. If you're constantly worrying or stressing about things, you're not in a place where you can be creative and like find solutions to things because you're so wrapped up in the problem. Whereas when you're mindful, you take a step back almost and you can see it from a new lens and allow solutions to find you. I want to share some benefits of mindfulness that have been studied. So a few benefits are improved sleep, better mental health, reduction in stress and anxiety, reduction in negative feelings, helps you better enjoy the moment and the activity that you're doing, and better focus. So a study done back in 2009 by Moore and Malinowski, I'm going to read this here. They did a study which examined how mindfulness meditation affected participants' ability to focus attention and suppress distracting information. The researchers compared a group of experienced mindfulness meditators with a control group that had no meditation experience. They found that the meditation group had significantly better performance on all measures of attention, And they also had higher self-reported mindfulness. Essentially, mindfulness meditation practice and self-reported mindfulness were correlated directly with cognitive flexibility and attentional functioning. I feel like we've all likely heard the argument that we're all overstimulated and that we all have no attention span. You know, TikTok has ruined our attention span, or you can only watch things for like 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 15 seconds before you get bored and you're on to the next thing. And it is so bad for us to not be able to focus on something, because then you're just constantly bombarded with all this information. So this is where we're getting into the importance of mindfulness in a digital world. Okay, this is also why I invited you to just be present with me today and to try to focus on what I'm saying. I know it can be hard to focus on something for a longer period of time. So if you're still with me, I appreciate you. And I hope I'm not boring you. And you know what? It's funny because I know that my content, like as a podcast, YouTube channel situation, like I don't add visuals on my screen, rarely. It's me just sitting and talking to you, and that's intentional because I personally like this kind of content. I think that the whole fast pace, all these visuals to keep your attention, I think it's just distracting, and it actually is like harder for me to watch because I prefer to just be mindful and like listen to what someone's saying. So the way I do my content is intentional. And there's a reason why I'm not trying to be flashy and keep your attention. Like, I hope that I'm not boring you, but at the same time, you know, I can't do with all the flashy images and overlays just to keep your attention. Like, I want you to just be present because you want to listen. So that's my little side note. But okay, so I hope you can so far see the benefits of mindfulness. And I want to take this a step further by just highlighting the fact that we've almost forgotten our ability to slow down and be fully present because of the distraction of technology. So how many of you pull out your phone while you're waiting for something? This could be waiting in line to pay the cashier at the grocery store. This could be waiting at the bus stop. This could be waiting at the doctor's office. Like, how many of you just pull out your phone? It's probably a pretty natural thing. You pull out your phone, you check your messages, you maybe go on social media and you start scrolling. We almost fill all of our time with our phones because we're bored. We don't want to be bored. We want something to pass the time. I don't want to sit and wait 10 minutes at the doctor's office. I want to have a distraction. So I'm going to pull out my phone because that's what you do. You know, I sat in a physio office recently. Everyone was on their phone. It's a quote unquote normal thing in society today to fill your downtime with stimulation. And needing this constant distraction, it gives us so much information that we can't process. Have you ever looked at something on social media? Or maybe you kept your phone out a little too late and then at night you couldn't sleep and your mind is like replaying things you saw on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Okay? Because we literally cannot process that information. And then while you sleep, that's the information being processed. Which, why do I need all these TikToks and overstimulating videos like ingrained in my brain? I don't, okay? So boredom is actually really important to you. So Cal Newport, who is an author, he wrote Deep Work. I recently listened to a talk that he did, and he talks about boredom. He talks about how being alone with your thoughts is actually the time when you have to reflect on your experiences, what your experiences mean to you, and make progress in your self-concept. So we often hear these days people feeling lost, right? People feeling lost, they're stuck in life, they don't know who they are, what they want. And it's because when we don't allow ourselves to just reflect on where we are and what we're doing and how our experiences make us feel, we lose our self-concept. Because if you don't know how things are affecting you and you're constantly just on to the next thing, inviting more stimulation into your life, then you're literally not processing how you feel about things. You're not processing how your relationships are making you feel. You're not processing what you actually want out of life. And all of these things, the self-reflection is so important for your self-concept, so important for you to figure out what you actually want. And we've almost all lost the ability to do this because we're constantly on our phones. Another thing I want to share is about our phones. We know that phones are addictive. We know that they are meant to keep us entertained and to keep us locked in. But I want to share a quote from Dr. Shimi Kang, who's a Harvard-educated psychiatrist. This quote is from The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. He is another amazing author. The Myth of Normal. I think everyone should read that book. Dr. Shimi Kang says, the phone has been designed by the world's top neuroscientists and psychologists who have taken all our most sophisticated brain research and understanding of human motivation and reward cycles and have embedded it into devices. It's not a surprise when in the movie The Social Dilemma, all these high up tech people talk about how they don't give social media or phones to their own children because they know how addictive they are. They know how they have been designed to hook us, right? So if you are always on your phone, it's not even, in a large part, it's not even your fault. They're literally designed to keep you hooked. These algorithms are so smart these days. They're designed to keep you locked in. And so if this is you, I don't say this to make you feel bad about it because it's all of us. So many of us have this challenge of not being able to put down the phone or not being able to be bored. And the really scary thing about excessive screen time, the last quote I want to share with you is from Marie Swingle, who's the author of iMinds, How and Why Constant Connectivity is Rewiring Our Brains and What to Do About It. So this quote is about excessive screen time, and it says that it is related to the less ability to focus on the normal baseline, including states of observation, contemplation, and transitions from which ideas spark. This affects learning, socialization, recreation, creativity, among other things. So going back to what Cal Newport was saying about boredom, right? Our baseline, our states of observations, are so important for creativity and just for understanding how the world works around us. If you're at the grocery store, instead of pulling out your phone, just look around and observe what's happening in the store. It's going to help you bring in awareness, right? Just observe what's happening around you and think about the world. Just be present. I actually really enjoy people watching, not in a creepy way, but just human behavior fascinates me. So I like just kind of sitting and watching and seeing what people are up to. And it's kind of sad when you see that every single person in the doctor's office is just on their phones, And I notice if I see someone who's reading a book instead, I think, good for them, Okay, so we're going to move on to our last section, which is all about how to build mindful routines that work for you. And I just want to share some tips to help you get started if this is something that you are realizing you need more of in your life. So the first tip I have for you kind of is around our phones, and I think it's to really reflect on how much screen time you have in a day and think about where you might be able to cut that down. So for example, for me personally, I try not to look at my phone for the first hour of my day. And I also put it on do not disturb or sleep mode at least an hour before I go to bed. And that just helps me completely disconnect. In the morning especially, if I look at my phone first thing, then I'm already thinking about things I've seen. Right? Whereas if I start my morning just really mindful and I get up, I stretch, I make my tea, and I get into my mindful routine, I'm already in a happier state. I'm already in a good start to the day, right? I didn't see an email that upset me or something that completely stressed me out or just distracted me. And then I'm able to look at my phone and check notifications. So that might be a good place to start, is just recognizing like how much screen time you have and where can you cut it down. Maybe it's not realistic if you have 8 hours of screen time to say, oh, I'm going to cut this down to 30 minutes overnight. That's probably not going to be super realistic, but thinking about where you can start to cut it down, maybe morning and evening. I also like to keep my phone in a different room when I am doing something that I need to focus on. I just don't even want the phone near me because I will get distracted. The second tip I have for you is to start journaling about what mindful practices you want to try in your life. I think with mindfulness and specific mindful practices is, it can look so different for different people, and my routine isn't going to look the same as your routine, nor should it. So start journaling and brainstorming about what mindful practices you might want to include in your life. Again, how can you incorporate things like daily movement, things like slowing down? Are there activities or hobbies you can practice? Maybe it's just reading for 20 minutes instead of scrolling on social media. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's drawing, maybe it's going for a daily walk. Like, there's so many opportunities to bring mindfulness in your everyday. So I would just start by brainstorming maybe a list of like things you might want to try, and what are your current routines looking like? So do you know that currently you watch 2 hours of TV every day and you have 3 hours of social media screen time? Okay, do you know that you look at your phone first thing and you're always thinking about what the next thing you have to do is? So just being more aware of what your routines look like versus what you want them to maybe look like. And then the trial and error phase is you have to try things. Commit to something for a week. Say, this week I'm going to try every day to do this thing, and then I'm going to reflect and see how it went. Okay, so I don't want this episode to be super long, but I can do another episode all about habit cues and how to build these routines out in a way that you're going to be able to be successful. So if you would like that, let me know. I also want to remind you that if you're feeling stuck in your life, you're not sure how to move forward, and you just need a little motivation to figuring out what you're truly passionate about, what's going to give you purpose and balance, I invite you to download my free, simple 3-step guide for getting unstuck and discovering your passions. The link for that is below. You can join the Mindset Mastery email list, and I will send you some tips on how to bring more mindfulness into your life. I'd love for you to support me and download the guide. Also, I really just believe it's super helpful. It's something that I revisit regularly too if I'm feeling stuck. This little free guide helps me just kind of recenter myself and on what it is I want more of in my life. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope you're seeing the value of mindful routines. Don't forget to like and share the video, and I will see you all next Monday. Bye.